ティルピッツ、手強い相手だと言わざるを得ませんね。
The Formidable is an SR aircraft carrier from the Royal Navy, and is known for being the biggest among all the illustrious class carriers currently in the game. Formidable is an SR carrier available in the limited build pool during the Imperial Treasure Comedy event, which is more commonly known as the Sardana Empire event or the event where we got the Hawaiian pizza and that lesbian battleship. Formidable is a really massive ship, rivaling even the Ditto class cruisers, but she is still smaller than Ditto herself. The arrival of Formidable in the game is a really big thing. Previously, you only get ships that can debuff enemy ships, but Formidable was the first ship that can directly interfere with them by completely preventing them from moving for a very short time. But if timed correctly, that short break on the enemy movement is more than enough to turn the tide of the battle. Much like Illustrious, Formidable is also an armored carrier. This means that she is among the few carriers in the game that has heavy armor, unlike other carriers who only has medium armor. This allows Formidable to take the flagship position of a full carrier backline without worrying about her getting ripped apart by enemy battleships sniping her from the back. Stats wise, Formidable doesn't really stand out that much, and there are certainly a lot of carriers that are better than her in this regard. Formidable has 6,481 hit points, 413 points in aviation and 289 points in anti-air. The only thing that gives her a leg up against other carriers is her heavy armor, that lets her tank more damage that other carriers with medium armor are incapable of. However, stats are not the main selling point of Formidable, it's a skill that sets her apart from the others. Formidable has 3 skills, one for each type. Her offensive type skill is ironically called Supporting Wings. This skill increases her aviation by 15%, and if she has the Ferry Albacore equipped on her, also increases the gear efficiency of the slot for that plane by 15%, and gives a 100% chance to launch an additional Ferry Albacore airstrike, which has an 80% chance to cause flooding damage to enemy ships every time she launches an airstrike. The flooding damage depends on the level of the skill and the aviation stats of Formidable. Her defensive type skill is called Armored Hangar. This is a passive skill that decreases the damage taken by Formidable by 8%. Additionally, this skill grants an 8% decrease in damage taken by the other ships in your main fleet every time Formidable launches an airstrike. However, she is excluded from this effect, so you only get a 8% damage reduction for her. Last but not the least is her support type skill called Don't Move an Inch. This skill is guaranteed to activate for the first airstrike launched by Formidable in the battle, and has 80% chance to activate after that. This skill, when activated, sets the enemy speed to 0, and freezes them in place for 1.5 seconds. After that, the effect of the skill will fade away until the enemy speed returns to normal after 2.5 seconds. Now onto her gear. The first slot of Formidable gives you an option to choose if you want to give her a fighter or a dive bomber. Whichever you want to give her, just remember that fast reload is not a concern. This gives you the flexibility to give her the fighter or bomber with the highest damage output. I will explain why later in the video. With that in mind, I recommend the Ferry Firefly or the BTD-1 Destroyer. If you want to give her a dive bomber, you can also give her the SBD Dauntless McCluskey division, if you happen to see a lot of carriers. For fighters, the F6F Helget and the Sea Fang are the best options. For her first torpedo bomber slot, the Ferry Albacore is a must for her supporting wing skill, so you absolutely have to equip it. For the second torpedo bomber slot, the Blackburn Firebrand is a really good option. If you want to give her a regular torpedo bomber and the HEB-7A Ryusei for a Sakura torpedo bomber. For her auxiliary, you can give her dual steam catapult if you are planning on using her for PvE sortie and a steam catapult plus aviation fuel tank. If you want to use her on PvP battles, the homing bacon is only recommended if you are planning on putting her on a fleet with light carriers or any carrier with a much higher reload stats than Formidable. I will tell you the reason in a minute. Now on to the reason why I'm suggesting not to give Formidable the fastest reloading planes like how you would with Illustrious. The reason is her skill don't move an inch in the airstrike launch order. As you all know, the order in which your carriers will launch their airstrike depends on who finish reloading first. Normally light carriers have a higher reload stats and finishes reloading first, giving them the chance to launch their airstrike first. For this reason, you will want to give the last place to Formidable to take the full advantage of her don't move an inch skill. The best way to use Formidable's don't move an inch skill is wait for all your carriers to finish reloading their airstrike, and then let your other carriers launch their airstrikes first, and then wait for a 1-second interval before you let Formidable launch her airstrike. The reason for this is that it takes about a second for your airstrike to reach the enemies and start dropping their payloads. Giving Formidable the last airstrike slot by ensuring she has the slowest reload of your main fleet makes it so that the enemies are frozen in place by the time your airstrike starts to drop their payloads on them. This also ensures that the slower hitting torpedoes from your airstrike will get a guaranteed hit on the enemy, letting you harvest more damage from that airstrike. I know you know where I'm coming from, since there is nothing more frustrating than seeing the torpedoes from your airstrike miss their target because the enemy was able to move out of the way. This is also the reason why homing bacon is not recommended on Formidable if you are planning on putting her on a fleet with other carriers. Giving homing bacon on Formidable will automatically let her reload her airstrike faster, which is the one thing you will want to avoid if you want to arrange your fleet so that Formidable gets to launch her airstrike last. For fleet arrangement, you will want to put her on a fleet together with other ships that can deal heavy strike damage, such as Enterprise and SX, or battleships with barrage skills. No matter which ship you sortie together with Formidable, it is recommended that Formidable gets the last turn when launching a strike, so that your strike are already well underway by the time Formidable activates her don't move an inch skill. This are all just my suggestion and everyone is free to either use it or ignore it. I recently got a new and more powerful phone to replace my 1-year-old Honor 10 Lite, which is the device I use to shoot all the game clips in all my videos. I got myself a Samsung Galaxy M31 and I plan to stream using it. I had already tried streaming once on my Facebook page and saw that I can stream properly without experiencing short freezing like what you normally see on my videos. I'm still working on other details for my planned stream and all information regarding it will be posted on my Facebook and Twitter. The link for my Facebook page and Twitter will be available in the description. Well that's it for this video, and I will see you guys around.
幕引きよ。